What is up, everybody? Welcome to week 6. Gosh, can you believe we're already week 6, Chip?
I can't, man. It's flying by.
It is
Absolutely flying
flown by, especially since we haven't been here the past 2 weeks. We got a jam-packed show for you. We're right at week 6, which, means it's time to start talking trades. Hopefully you already have. There's been a couple trades in our leagues. I know you've been trying.
Yeah, been trying the hardest.
Every week, right? Both of us. I think we trade the most. Probably.
What else are you going to do on a Tuesday and a Wednesday when there's no football? You're going to sit there, look at your team, and try to trade.
Those are trade days. Yes, they're waiver days, but they're trade days. So we got some trade talk for you. Going to go through the boom and bust of last week, flexing on them segment, and, of course, the Thursday night preview. Welcome into Fantasy Fuel Week 6. Got my co-host Chip Sparks with me here.
How we doing?
What was your favorite game last week? Let me just throw that out there. Did you watch any, favorite one you watched?
We had the same favorite game. And I think you were at the game, so you can talk about it if you'd like. It was Packers Bengals. It was agonizing. It was heartbreaking, but it was so much fun to watch.
Yeah, and I think some people maybe listening to the podcast that don't care about those two teams as much might be like, why was that so much fun? People missing field goals, but that doesn't have. They missed 5 in that game. The teams combined missed 5 field goals. Yeah. It's insane. And, that's near and dear to our hearts, of course, being from Cincinnati and me being a Packers fan. A lot of fun. Dude, I think the primetime games, we've been spoiled this year. Every Thursday and Monday night, been wonderful.
Yeah, the game on Sunday night was just absolutely fantastic. You did have to wait, an extra 2 hours in the middle there for them to start the second half back up, but just fantastic football. Even the Monday night game, like the Ravens coming back on the Colts like that, just fantastic.
I'm scared that we'll get into it later in this podcast, but I'm scared that this Thursday will be the first non-competitive Thursday night game.
We thought that before with the who was it that was playing? Was it Dallas and the Redskins? Is that who was playing? I'm sorry, the Washington football team.
No, I think Dallas played Tampa Bay. I think you're thinking of Carolina and Washington, maybe.
Might be what it was.
But even the Bengals-Jacksonville game, I thought the Bengals would blow them out, and they won by field goal. Yep. This week it's Bucks and Eagles, and if the Bucks don't blow them out, then that looks really bad on the Buccaneers. So
we'll see. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah. Let's jump into the boom and bust. I'll start with the quarterback booms here. Justin Herbert looking amazing. Oh my goodness. I didn't get to watch that game. I was catching my flight back home, but I was following along on my phone, just the stat updates. Shootout with Cleveland putting up 42 points. Lamar on Monday night, 41 points. Him, he won me a week in my dynasty league. Not the one we're in together, but my other dynasty league. I had Lamar and Mark Andrews. And I was down by 80 points going into that game.
Yeah.
It's a full PPR. Full PPR. Those two together combined for 83, and I won.
Yeah.
I did not think I was going to win. Yeah, I'm the reigning champ, so I needed it. But
unfortunately, I was playing against in a very, very close battle, playing against Mark Andrews. So, as fun as that game was to watch for the comeback, a part of me died inside every time I saw Mark Andrews touch the ball.
Jeez.
But
he lit it up. Third on the week quarterbacks was Tom Brady, who I have in our main league. He threw 5 touchdowns. I think he's thrown 4+ touchdowns every single week. All besides 1 week, I think.
Wow.
The dude is QB1 right now. It's lighting it up. And he played on Thursday night. Josh Allen, 36 points, and Jameis Winston making the top 5.
Yeah, I tell you what, someone who's got Michael Thomas sitting on my IR slot right now, I love seeing that because who knows what comes week 7.
I don't know what to make of the Saints. 1 week, they look great, and Winston throws 4 touchdowns, and the defense even looks good. Another week, both offense and defense are just in shambles, and they're losing to, the Eagles, bad teams. I don't know, but I don't know what to make of the Saints. They're insane. We'll see. Yeah. Do you watch them much at all, the actual games?
I watch about as much as Red Zone lets me, so,
I get you.
7 hours commercial free, you can't really beat it.
All right, who we got as the top 5 running backs?
Running backs, no surprises. No surprises in the top 3. Top 2. You got Henry. He's always gonna get his. Austin Eckler, looking like a dominant pick, especially you're taking him probably around the turn in your draft, so he's giving you incredible return on your investment based on where you draft him. And everybody who drafted JT, rejoice a little bit. He has a great game.
Take a deep breath.
Take a deep breath. Yep. First play of the game. Maybe not first play of the game. First drive of the game. Busts off like an 80-yard touchdown run. Fantastic. Myles Gaskin. Great game for him. RB4 on the week. Matt, you expected him to stay RB4 numbers the rest of the year?
I'm not, and that's kind of why we're going to talk about him later in the trade segment. Like, I think they played Tampa Bay, and it was a blowout win. You can't run on Tampa Bay. Nobody has ran the ball at all on Tampa Bay, so they had to go through the air. And, I mean, he got his points off of receptions, and he got 2 receiving touchdowns, if I remember. We'll talk about him later. I'll save it for that. We'll talk about him later.
That'll do it. And then number 5, we got Kamara. Kind of goes along with Winston there. Both of them had a great game. When one does well, the other one's going to do well too.
Wide receivers, top 5s. Mike Williams does it again. He's been on fire.
I keep waiting for the shoe to drop. I keep waiting for his game where he's not going to pull through. He's going to fall down 5 or 6 spots on the wide receiver list, but I don't know if that day is going to come.
So you talk about falling down. The only time it's going to come is when he falls down too hard, because, I mean, that man jumps like 12 feet in the air, and he's going to fall down too hard and get injured because that's what he's done in the past. That's the only way the shoe drops, in my opinion, is injury. I'm not calling for the injury, but other than that, I think he's going to keep – is he the number one? Is he the number 1 receiver on the team?
He on the team?
Yeah, him or Keenan. Who would you rather have?
He's the on the year in fantasy. Who would I rather have?
Rest of the season. Who do you got?
All right. Mike Williams. I will take Mike Williams.
I think so.
I think that you can't. It's really easy to say, oh well, he was in this situation, so he did well, or this matchup played him favorably, and write off all the list of reasons why he's doing better than Keenan Allen. But the fact still remains, he's doing better than every other wide receiver in the league, with the exception of one. Every other in the league.
Yeah, and through 5 weeks too. So it's not like a small sample size.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get to trade talk later, but I'm just gonna ask now: Would you trade if you are the Keenan Allen owner? Would you, in a package deal, trade to acquire Mike Evans? It sounds like you would.
Mike Evans or Mike Williams?
My fault. Mike Williams.
I mean, it depends on the package. I don't think that you're gonna. It depends on a lot of things. Obviously, if you're just gonna throw out there and say that when I trade a package with both of them, yeah, I trade a package with both of them.
But I'd rather 1v1 straight up, you would.
Yeah, I think I'm worried about the other guy not letting me have Mike Williams for Keenan Allen. I know both the guys in our league. If I'm Peyton and Patrick walks up to me and says, "Hey, I want Mike Williams for Keenan Allen," I probably don't say yes.
No, I wouldn't either. And that's kind of why I mentioned the package. But yeah, in a vacuum between the two of them, I think you take Mike Williams. But oh yeah, dude, I don't know. He's just. I think, and this is gonna sound crazy. I think you can sell high on Mike Williams. He's not in my trade idea. Here's the thing. You can trade Mike Williams possibly for a Stephon Diggs, who maybe hasn't had that great of a year so far. Stephon Diggs has had some good numbers, but not the best. Not what you hope for is Stephon Diggs. I think Stephon Diggs figures it out, of course. And wait, what? Do you have him on the trade thing? Oh, okay. All right. I'll hold it back. We'll wait for the trade talk. Let's get there.
We can wait for it to come.
I'm eager. I love trades. I
hear you. It's the best part of fantasy. It really is. I don't care what anybody says. It's the best part of fantasy.
Yeah. Let's blitz through these booms here. So after Williams, Devontae Adams putting up 32 points in our half PPR. Hollywood Brown putting up 29. And the next two, number 4 and 5, both from the Buccaneers. Antonio Brown with 27.9 and Mike Evans 26.3. I had Evans on my bench this week. It's been hard to put him in.
I think that you can't.
Go ahead.
Can't feel too bad about that.
Yeah.
Super inconsistent from the guy. It sucks when you make the wrong decision and you're looking at 30 points on your bench, but would you rather be looking at 30 points on your bench or 0 in your roster?
Exactly. And I got Debo on a bye this week, so Evans is back in the starting lineup, so we'll hope for it.
There you go.
Redemption. Tight ends, who we got?
Tight ends, favorite position. Unfortunately, my guy's not on here. We got Mark Andrews, number 1, kicking me hard this week. David Njoku. I don't know if anyone saw him being up top 5 tight end this week. David Njoku puts up big numbers. I think that's the result of the ridiculously high scoring game that the Browns are in. We have number 3. I know a lot of people are very happy with this. Kyle Pitts finally makes his big statement game that he was drafted to be. Looking fantastic. Dude is just a monster, freak athlete.
Kind of like you said earlier with the JT thing, like, I think people who drafted him finally could take a deep breath and be like, yes, this is what I expected. This is what I wanted from Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, no doubt. Especially with the rookie, you know that you're going to have some time to get in there. So to see 5 weeks in and he's putting up big numbers like that, really reassuring for the rest of the year and years to come. Let's say you're in Dynasty. I'm super pumped to see numbers like that.
Definitely.
In the first 5 weeks of your career. After that, we got Dawson Knox, who looks to be a pretty favorable target from the boy Josh Allen, who is just slanging that ball. The Bills are looking fantastic, and he seems to be a pretty big part of that. I think we're going to talk more about the Bills offense later. And then rounding it out, we got Henry from the New England Patriots, who, again, seems to be a favorite of Mac Jones, getting a lot of targets, doing good things for him.
Yeah, Dawson Knox is one of the steals of this year so far for me off the waiver wire. I mean, I remember having him a little bit last year. Like, I plugged him in like twice last year after like a big game he had, and then he like goosed, and he just was way too inconsistent last year. But now through 5 weeks, like you said, he's definitely a favorite target, and I think he's a lock play for the rest of the year.
Yeah, no doubt. If you were streaming tight ends and you picked him up on a good week, rejoice, because you don't have to stream anymore.
Yeah, seriously, it's really nice. All right, bust from this week. I didn't include when we put these in the show doc, there's some on here that of course scored decently, but just not what you expected. For example, like Kyler Murray, he scored 13 points, which isn't absolutely a bust, but for the Kyler and love and what he's been doing, 13 didn't get it done for you.
I'll tell you what, I'm calling that a bust, regardless of, you can try to beat around it. That's a bust. That's for sure. You're looking at a guy who's supposed to be getting you 25, 30, 40 points every week, supposed to be slanging the ball. He's proved that he can do that and has an absolute arsenal in his receivers, making guys like Rondale Moore look like unbelievable athletes. AJ Green looking rejuvenated because of him. So definitely a bust there. I don't think I'm necessarily worried, but it's just just a bust.
Yeah, and they still came away with a W. I mean, they're 5-0. Cardinals
crazy.
The other quarterback one we got is Sam Darnold. And again, this was maybe a stream player that people were streaming in and out, but I mean, he's coming off back-to-back big games. So I know he was in a lot of lineups. I know I played against him this week. So the person in our league started him. He only put up 6 points. He missed DJ Moore on a beautiful, beautiful touchdown, which hurt my heart because I have DJ. But that's all I got.
Let me ask you about these quarterbacks, right? So you got Kyler Murray playing down, you got Sam Darnold playing down. Which one is more true to their character, you think? Because I know that Darnold, he's been putting up great games. He's been having some great games. Leads, before this week, led the league in rushing touchdowns.
No, I mean, if I had to say which one is going to do this again, I'm going to say Darnold is more likely to do this again. But for both of them, I mean, obviously brighter days ahead for both of them. Obviously, if you're saying which one I want more, I want Kyler, of course. That's without a question. Right, but Darnold, I wouldn't lose hope on him. I don't know who they got matched up this week, Minnesota. I wouldn't lose hope on him. A lot of people are streaming Kirk Cousins from Minnesota. So right there in that matchup, Kirk Cousins or Darnold, I'm taking Darnold, on that side of the ball. There. So I CMC back's going to help Darnold a lot. So I'm not worried about Darnold. If somebody want to keep streaming, you can. Now CMC will take the rushing touchdowns that you mentioned. I don't think those continue. So yeah. Bust on the running back side.
Running backs, we got Chase Edmonds coming in 2.9 in our format. Devin Singletary 2.8. Tough if you just traded for Chase Edmonds and expecting a nice solid piece in your flex. Devin Singletary, I think I dropped him this week. I'm not sure if he's in his team, but
Zach Moss took over that backfield. I only included him here because I know some people maybe still were starting him, but from here on out, I think he belongs on the wire, and I think Zach Moss is owning that backfield. Doesn't mean Singletary might not have a game, but I don't think he fits this category from here on out, probably, even if he does bust. Wide receivers, again, a couple here like that's got 6 points, which isn't terrible, but DJ Moore and Scary Terry, not what you want from those guys.
You're not looking for 6-10 points from these guys. DJ Moore and Scary Terry, you're looking 15 to 20 every week is what you're hoping for. Obviously, 20 might be on the higher end of that, but you're looking for a good consistent guy because those are both higher round draft picks. You're looking for someone who's going to be able to carry you through those harder games, harder weeks.
Yeah, and Terry got 11 targets. I don't remember DJ Moore off the top of my head. Let's see, I got it right here. He got 7 targets. So, and again, missed on that big touchdown. I mean, both of them, they're 1 or 2 catches away from having a big day. So
yeah, and I was watching that Washington game. I think there was 2 different times where Terry had busted open for what was going to be at least like a 30, 40-yard catch and had pass interference called on him. So, I know I said it earlier, you can't take things away that didn't happen, but you can look at those things and not be worried.
Yeah, you pass the eye test there. Terry's got Kansas City this week. So
I love that. As someone who has Terry on my team, I want to see 200 points scored.
Can I ask for a second? What happened to Kansas City's defense? Like they don't look good. They do not look good at all.
I don't know if really any part of Kansas City looks like unbelievably good right now. They look like they're sort of struggling on offense. I'm looking at Patrick Mahomes throwing like 2 interceptions and fumbling the ball on Sunday night prime time. It's tough. I don't know what's going on.
Now they early on, week 2, week 3, they were like last in the division because there's only been 2 or 3 games played. 5 weeks in, they're still last in their division. That it's just doesn't look good for Kansas.
Yeah, I mean, granted, that is the best division in football, but it's still.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. The rest of the wide receivers we got is Adam Thielen. Oh, I counted. You're going in and out there.
We're frozen. We good?
There it is.
Well, all right.
Shoot.
I think I got my divisions mixed up, by the way. I want to retract that statement. I did get my divisions mixed up, so I do want to retract that statement.
Okay, good. I was like, well.
No. I did get my divisions mixed up. So
your division's not bad. I'll give you that. They're not bad. I know what you mean, though. They're not. I get you. The NFC West is what you're thinking of. Both West. Both of them are West. So
yep.
Adam Thielen 5.0. I was looking at this. I had to redeem myself because I called him a bust week 1, and then he popped off week 1 and 2. Every single week, he's gotten less and less and less targets, less and less snaps. He's literally deteriorated from his week 1 start, like 26 points, 17 points, like 12, 8, 6. Like it's going down. It's going down.
I do seem to remember you saying exactly that would happen. So I'm just curious, are you expecting an apology from Adam Thielen after you apologize to him?
Expecting is one thing, but do I deserve it? Yes, I deserve it. And I will be checking my email every day. Adam, okay? He's a good friend of the show. Thanks for listening, Adam. But yeah, I am waiting. My voicemail is always open. Okay. Lastly, Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks 3.8. He's a plug and play in some leagues, maybe a deeper league. He's a starter. He's been on my bench. I've yet to put him in, but this is the first week where he didn't produce. Every other week he's been scoring 15, 16. Like he was a top 10 receiver through the first 4 weeks.
What we got here, we can run through these quickly. Tight ends, TJ Hawkinson sucks. He had supposed to have a good year this year.
Yeah, what happened to him? First 2 weeks, he was amazing.
I don't know. I think it's a product of being in that offense where there's not a lot going on, and that's just tough. The other one, a little bit less unexpected, Noah Fant, 3.2. Just a product of a guy that you're just not always going to get production out of. You got anything else you want to say about the bus, or you want to move on to some trade talks? Because I know.
Let's move on. Let's talk trades. I've been dying and been itching for it. Let's do it.
I know you have. I know.
All right, so we're going to talk about some players we want to trade away, some players you might have on your roster you need to get rid of before you get caught holding the bag. Or we're also going to talk about players you want to trade for. So of course, trade away targets, trade for. Let's start with let's get rid of the bad guys. Let's start with the trade away targets. I'm going to start because I already talked about him a little bit earlier. Myles Gaskin, coming off a big week. We just talked about him in the boom section. He's had a bad first couple weeks where he didn't even seem like he was the lead back in the backfield. This week came on a lot of passing touchdowns. He's going to have another week like this at some point. this year. And if you trade him away and he has that, that's just where you go. You got to take a deep breath and just trust that you made the right decision still, because he'll catch the ball and maybe score a touchdown or two later on. But he's only going to get that if he catches a touchdown. And this week he caught 2. So like, I don't think it continues. I think this is your chance to sell big on the fact that he scored 20+ points. Sell him to somebody with a running back on a bye, somebody who's got a running back injured. Maybe reach out to the David Montgomery owner who's out for a couple weeks. Try to get something for him while you can, because if you get something for equal value of what you got last week from him, you're going to win the trade in the long run. So I think he's a sell while you can. Thing. Here's the other thing. He plays. Who's he play this week? Somebody big. I want to say Buffalo. Let's see. Look, I got it right here. Oh, my bad. Thought I did. I know he doesn't have a good play this week. So it's gonna be trouble coming up for him. Oh no, my bad. He's got Jacksonville this week. He's got a good team.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe you can wait one more week and see if he pops off one more time and then again trade high. But I know he's got a tough schedule going forward from there. So that's my first trade away target. I don't know, Chip. If you have him, would you trade him away, or you're somebody who doesn't have a lot of running backs? Would you trade for him?
So the thing, I mean, my personal strategy when it comes to running backs, I don't want to give this all away. If you're listening and you're in the league, you're going to not listen to the rest of this. But I'm not trading for big name running backs. I'm not trading for guys that are like going to hold some value. So like, not that I'm saying he's a big name running back by any means, but I think the value for me that it would take to get him is not something I would trade for. He's not someone that I really trust. It's really a lot to do with like the Dolphins offense. I don't want to rely on an offense that's a little bit suspect, a little bit uncertain. It's just too much variability for what I'm trying to do. I want to talk though about a running back that looks like he might not be the lead back, like you said, on an offense where great running quarterback as well. And that is Miles Sanders. If I have Miles Sanders, I'm doing everything I can to get rid of the guy. I think that between the fact that you have a rookie and Kenneth Gainwell having some great games here and there, making some great athletic moves, looks like he can, be a real guy in the NFL. Combine that with the fact that his quarterback is a fantastic running quarterback, doing great things in fantasy this year in Jalen Hurts. He's just not a guy that I want on my team. If I have Kenneth Gainwell, and I'd much rather be on that side of the coin, where I have a guy who I'm not expecting anything out of that is giving me a little bit more production than a Miles Sanders, who if I have Miles Sanders, he's probably starting in my, RB2 or maybe a flex. And I'm expecting a certain level of production and I'm not getting it and getting let down week in, week out. And that's just not a situation you ever want to be in fantasy. I don't know how much you're going to get for him. That's the tough part about these guys that we're talking about is, Miles Sanders, I don't know how much value he has, but if you can find a situation where you have a hole in your team, maybe in the wide receiver, something, whatever you need, and you can make a trade, maybe package him into a trade to try to push someone over the edge. I think that's something that absolutely worth looking into.
Yeah. I mean, I think you said it right there. I think he's a package. He's somebody where I love to do this. Which again, I'm giving away strategy to our teammates, but I don't mind. I love to do this when it's like, if he's somebody I want to trade away, I don't start with him. I'd maybe be like, hey, I'll trade you this other person, and then attach him on to still like send it away last second kind of thing. Attach him on, which somebody just did to me, and I got him. But so I guess Sanders
I was going to bring that up. I was going to bring that up. That is, about your trade. It is kind of nice, but like was talked about with that trade, that was a negligible player. It didn't really change the trade that much for you.
Exactly. Would you rather have Myles Gaskin or Miles Sanders? Which one are you taking?
I'd rather have Myles Gaskin. I just look at Miles Sanders and I get scared. I don't know. It's a little bit more eye test, personal feeling than anything. I think that when you look at a guy like Myles Gaskin, he has had some great games in his career. When you look at Miles Sanders, it's a little bit more few and far between.
I agree. I think I'd rather have Gaskin. I was even thinking, you're talking about like, when I asked you about trading Gaskin earlier, I was trying to think of like, what would be a player I would try to trade him for, right? If you want to sell high on Gaskin, who's somebody you'd get in? Here, one question for you, Gaskin or Josh Jacobs?
That's a great question. Sort of similar situations. I think that I'm going to go Josh Jacobs on that,
I
though.
think so too.
I like the Raiders' offense a little bit more. And again, a lot of my picks when it comes to running backs, especially, is based on how I like the offense and how I think that they're going
Yeah.
to play. Because if you have a running back on a team that sucks and they're going to be down all the time, there's
Yeah.
no point in even playing them. They're not going to get touches unless they're getting a lot of like screens, running back screens, stuff like that, which you're not seeing a lot of that anyway.
Yeah.
I like Josh Jacobs a little bit more. I think that Kenyon Drake doesn't really hurt him that much. Kenyon Drake's really more there to give him breaks in between long drives. And there's going to be those days where Kenyon pops off and Josh Jacobs has a lesser game, but I'm ready to wither that storm more than I am to deal with Myles Gaskins.
Exactly. See that if I'm the Myles Gaskin owner, that's where I'm going with it, because it's like the beginning of the season, Jacobs was drafted before Gaskin. Week 1, you couldn't have made that trade, but I think Jacobs hasn't had any incredible weeks. He's had kind of mediocre weeks. Gaskin puts up 26 last week. That's where you can cash in the value and be like, hey, I'll give you Gaskin for Jacobs, and that you're winning that trade, in my opinion. You're getting Jacobs back, so that's why I'd trade Gaskin away. Anything else on these two running backs before we move to the next trade away?
Now let's talk about them. Give me your next one.
The next one I've been trying to do for a while. I've been packaging him. I've included him in so many deals. I've yet to get rid of the man. I got him in Dynasty and on my main league, and it's Allen Robinson. He's a big name. He's somebody that I literally I've thought about dropping, but I wouldn't drop him because he's still he's Allen Robinson. He's a name where people recognize it, people know it. Has had fantasy relevance for years now, where he was Mr. Consistent. I took him in the 3rd round because of his consistency. I was like, he'll be just a week starter. He's not going to win me any weeks, but he's consistent. And
I'll tell you what, he's being pretty consistent for you. To be fair, he's being incredibly consistent for you. He is consistently horrible every week.
You're right. It's now it's too late. It is 5 weeks in and it's gone. I tried so hard after week 3 because I was like, even if he turns it around, if I can get something for decent value back from him. So he's a trade away if you can. He's a big name. I literally think, because if his name wasn't Allen Robinson and he didn't have the history he had, I would have dropped him. I would have dropped him by now. But it's just too hard to drop somebody like that.
I was in a very similar situation up until last week. Juju, I drafted him. I didn't really need him. I took him a little bit later. It's not anywhere near the same level, but a guy that you're still looking to get some production from. If his name, if he wasn't hurt and his name wasn't Juju, I would have dropped him for sure. But I luckily had that decision made for me by his.
I mean, okay, I know I didn't put this one on here, but I'm going to throw another one in just on the same idea. Odell Beckham Jr. Same thing. I wouldn't, if Odell wasn't Odell, I'd be dropping him. But he's 100%. A name you can't drop. Odell Beckham Jr., the man with the catch. You can't drop that kind of guy. So he's somebody where, again, I'm throwing him in a package trade, trying to trade big on the name while you can, because I don't want him on my team. And I would feel weird dropping Odell Beckham or Allen Robinson. And they're guys you got to trade the name. You can.
Absolutely. This is another one, definitely like a trade the name kind of guy. Way different situation though, where this is a guy that he's not necessarily letting you down by any means, but he's not living up to what he could be, and he's getting a lot taken away from him by the other back in in his offense, and that's Nick Chubb. It's not that he's doing exceptionally bad. It's not that he's underperforming every week, but it's a guy where you draft him at a certain value. He's got the name attached to him, and I think that you should try to trade him off for a guy that's going to be a little bit more consistent, have a little bit more volume, and you're not worried about, hey, we're on the 2-yard line. Am I going to watch Kareem punch this in again? He's going to score 2 more touchdowns. Like that's the kind of worry that I don't want to have when I have a first-round pick or, mid to late first-round pick. So again, it's not that he's bad by any means. I think this is a guy that you can very realistically trade. And that's the beauty of him over maybe Miles Sanders or an Allen Robinson. Is this guy absolutely has trade value. It's someone that I'm looking to send to somebody else. Maybe they're a Browns fan. Maybe they're thinking the shoe's going to drop on Kareem Hunt, but he's a guy that I'm trying to get rid of. Just to get a little bit more consistency and a little bit more high production, not have to worry about Kareem taking those touchdowns away from you.
Now, as you know, and we kind of mentioned earlier, I did just make a trade with Chubb, and the one I made was the probably 20th one I've offered around, because he was somebody kind of for all the reasons you named the trade. He also has those big weeks, and if you can trade him right after one of those big weeks, I was only going to trade up. So I offered it to the Dalvin owner, CMC owner, the Kamara owner, Derrick Henry, and then I ended up making the trade for Najee, who was my like fifth option there. Sorry, Patrick, if you're listening, but that was my fifth option. Of course, I mean he respects those other four, the top four running backs, and especially with Dalvin being like hurt back and forth, with CMC being hurt, they were like my targets. And you mentioned trading it to a Cleveland Browns fan. The Dalvin owner in our league is a big Browns fan, so I was trying really hard, and I felt like I was close, but you're right. Go ahead.
And that's one thing. It wasn't a 2-for-1 trade in your trade, but I think for the most part it was. You looked at it as one. This is a guy that I'm trying to trade 2-for-1. Take him, package him with somebody else, and try to go get a top 4 running back. Exactly. Like you were talking about, because that's the kind of trade that you can get with him. You have the ability to package him with maybe like a lower wide receiver and say, hey, you got CMC there. He's been hurt. Let me give you this great running back. And you're not lying to him. You're not trying to sell him on like Leonard Fournette and tell him he's going to be the best running back in the game. You're saying, hey, consistent, good quarterback. He's got, he went 21, 16, 8, 11, 23. Like he had a couple down weeks, but not bad by any means. Here's this good piece. Let me have CMC. Here's another wide receiver to sweeten the deal. Yeah,
CMC was one I was going for. And the CMC owner in our league like made a great point, which I couldn't argue with. It wasn't on the fact that like he just said that the way his season's not looking, he might not make the playoffs, and as long as CMC comes back healthy, it could keep him from getting last place. So he was fighting not for the punishment, which I was like, I respect that, So, all right, let's talk about the trade 4. Ooh, these are the fun ones. The ones we're trying to get. We want them on our team because they're looking good, and well, maybe they're not looking good because that's kind of where I'm at. My trade away strategy is guys who have looked great that won't continue, of course. Opposite goes to trade 4. Guys who have not looked that good that you can maybe get on a discount and have a wonderful player the rest of the year. Do you want to kick it off?
Yeah, no doubt. This is sort of more of an extreme. And this is someone that you might deal with a little bit of caution, depending on how you feel about him. We're going A.J. Brown. I'm targeting A.J. Brown pretty heavy if you can in your league. I think, he's had 12 points, 5 points, 0.3 points. He had a week off and then 5 points last week. Not a whole lot of production from him. He was injured. He's still sort of like a lingering question mark next to his name. I think that this offense figures it out. I think that he and Julio both really get going by the end of the year. I think that they develop a great system, a little bit more timing with Tannehill. And then you also have, obviously, Derrick Henry making it a little bit easier to pass because you got to respect their run game always with that kind of a running back there. I think it's a guy that turns it around. He's super, super high ceiling guy. We joke about it all the time. He eats with his hands. He gets in there. He's not afraid to do the dirty work. Big guy. He's a guy that I'm looking to trade for. And I'm not, you're not going to blow up your whole team to try to get this guy. You're going to see if you can get him at a discount. I know in our league, he's sitting on somebody's bench right now. That's both a product of his production and the wide receivers this guy has. But you're looking to make a trade for him. See if you can, sell a guy that, that maybe we didn't list in our sell now guys, but someone who had a better game, who you don't exactly trust going forward, and look to get someone like A.J. Brown to complement your team. Super high upside guy, really help you going forward.
Yeah, I tried to trade for him. I did. A.J. Brown's great trade for. Mine's on the similar. I noticed a little trend here, so I'll throw this one first. Calvin Ridley, you might have missed your chance. He didn't play last week against the Jets for personal reasons, and then he's on a bye this week. So like 2 weeks in a row that somebody didn't have Calvin Ridley, they might have forgot about him. I don't think they forgot about him, but he's out of sight, out of mind. And of course, like he was drafted to be with Julio on, he's going to be amazing, top 5 potential. He's had decent weeks, like double digits almost every week, like 10, 11, 12, like those kind of weeks, had a 7-point week. But he has yet to have any of those big games that you expect, and they're going to happen. Matt Ryan and that offense, I don't trust the Falcons like saying they're great or anything, but like he'll have those big 100-yard games and where he maybe pulls down to 2 touchdowns. So you might be able to get him on a discount for what you would have gotten if you drafted him, right? So you're not gonna trade. I wouldn't trade a 3rd-round draft pick for him like back and forth. Obviously, Allen Robinson was a 3rd-round pick, but I don't think you can make that trade. But so it might be too late now that he's going to be coming back from the bye. So I know this is a little maybe, like I said, too late because you could have got him 2 weeks ago and pinned it in a way like where you could have ate that cost of him being on a bye. But he's definitely somebody to reach out for because he hasn't lived up to his potential, and I think he will. And there's no reason he doesn't. So I think he turns it around.
No doubt.
You can get it.
I'm doing a similar thing to what I did with the running backs, looking at a guy that might be a little bit lower and looking at a guy maybe a little bit higher. This is a guy who drafted in the second round almost every league. On one of the best offenses in football. You could make an argument the best offense in football, just absolute gunslinger back there. Yeah, right now, absolutely. That's going to be Stephon Diggs. This is a guy who's not by any means losing you weeks. You know, he's got 11, 14, 9, 15, 8. So he's not exactly taking you out of weeks, but he's not by any means living up to his potential. And if you're talking to a Stephon Diggs owner, he might be a little bit fed up. He might be thinking, hey, you know, I paid second round price for this guy. Where is my production? Where are my big runs? Where are my insane catches? Where are all the points at? You know, I think he scored 1 touchdown all year. So you're a little bit frustrated with that. And I'm going to try to take advantage of that. I'm going to go to that owner and say, hey, man, you know, I know it's not working out. Here's this third round pick, or here's a running back that I think is overperforming his price. Let me trade you this running back that's doing super well for Stephon Diggs. Maybe put a package together kind of thing. But I'm really looking to put Stephon Diggs on my team. He's the kind of guy, personally, I think he takes it personally when it doesn't do well. You can tell the way he plays. The dude just cares so much about doing well, especially for a team that's in such heavy contention for a deep postseason run. He wants to contribute to this team. He's going to make an effort to get those touchdowns, get those yards, break off those big plays. I think he's a guy that without a doubt, I'm doing everything I can to get him on my team.
Would you maybe, I don't know what this package would be. If you're the Mike Williams owner, no, I think you got to hold on to Mike Williams. You can't trade him for Diggs. I don't know, Diggs or Williams. This is a heat check here.
Diggs for sure.
You're right.
I
don't know. I think, straight up, Diggs and Williams, I would do it. Yeah, because a lot of people, if you got Williams, he's your third receiver. You know, if you got Williams, he's your third receiver. So if you can get Diggs in and pair him with the first 2 guys you already drafted, okay, well, yeah, I would do Williams straight up for Diggs. I don't think the Diggs owner would give that up.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. I'm thinking specifically about our league and looking at where these guys are at. Like, I'm not doing it if I'm the Diggs owner, because you're giving up a guy that you drafted in the second round for a guy who's doing fantastic. He's the best wide receiver in football right now, per fantasy football points. But I, in a good conscience, couldn't make that trade, a second round pick for a guy like that. That's not to say that he won't do well, but in good conscience, I don't think I could do it. And I know that 5 weeks is enough weeks to say that Mike Williams is a stud, but I don't think it's enough weeks to say that he's better than Stephon Diggs.
All right, here's one for you. I just went to our league, looked at people on the rosters here. This is great because this is selling 2 new commodities for a known thing. Wow. Mike Williams and Cordero Patterson for Stephon Diggs. 2 for 1. 2, like, you know.
No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. And that's because of Cordero Patterson, because Cordero Patterson is an enigma. He doesn't make sense. I'm not sure he exists. I don't think he exists. I think that if I'm a Cordero Patterson owner, I don't. Wait, are you saying I own Diggs here?
Yeah. No, I get you.
Then I probably make that trade.
Oh, wow. Wait. If you own Diggs, you would take Williams and Patterson?
Probably.
Would you ship away Diggs? That's tough. That's a tough one.
I'm telling people to trade for Diggs. Don't make me put in a situation where I have to trade him away.
No, this is the same thing, because someone's got to trade away, someone's got to trade for. If you're the Mike Williams and Patterson owner, would you be happy still getting Diggs too, though? Because then you're trading for Diggs. Patterson and Williams, you probably drafted one of them and then picked one off the waiver wire, and now you're getting back a second-round pick. Like,
yeah, so that's the thing about trades is you have to look at your team when you're making them. Like, when you ask me this, I'm trying to think of in a vacuum. I'm trying to think of like just purely based off of like value to like a believe team that has on it in my mind. But realistically, it's very hard to say because it's so situationally dependent. Because like you said, Cordero Patterson is a guy that you picked up off the waivers. You know, Mike Williams might have been your last overall pick. Like, if not last, he's like way down there. Like the value that you got from those guys is so insanely high compared to like a Stephon Diggs in the second round. if you are able to make that trade, you probably have so many studs on your team, depending on how you drafted, of course. But you probably have enough studs on your team where obviously you would do that.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's a good trade. I think I side on the Diggs side, only because of I don't know. I don't know why I don't want to rely in Williams and Patterson, but that's why, to your point, I would trade for him. That's why I'm with you on that. I think you trade for Diggs, and yeah, if I'm the Williams Patterson owner, I'm making that trade. In my opinion, I'm getting Diggs on my team. Okay, last one here for me. I think this will round out the trade talk. Man, I tried for this one, and it's just not going to work because of our. You also got to look when you're making trades who the people have on their team, because they don't want to stack too many of the same team members. So here's a trade I offered. I offered. Let me look real quick. Emmanuel Sanders, Tyler Higbee, and I think I included Allen Robinson. I tried. I always try to package him in there. Sanders, but I was trying to get TJ Hawkinson is who I was trying to get, because I still believe is the real deal. He had 2 great weeks, and then 3 he's had 3 straight terrible weeks. NBA Jam rules, he's covered in ice right now. He's not doing well. So I don't think that lasts. I think Hawkinson will turn around and end up being wonderful. I think Hawkinson's going to turn it around and be the guy. He's a consistent start, and I think if you could trade those guys away, get Hawkinson in, he'll pop back off. Thoughts on Hawkinson? What's your thoughts on Hawkinson? Might have lost you.
You hear me?
Oh, man. There you are. I hear you. Oh, I lost him. He'll be back in a second. But take a moment, think of our sponsors. I'm just kidding. We don't have any sponsors just yet. But if you want to sponsor the show, give us a call. I'll let everybody know the trade that I was going for. Like I said, the guy had he had Cooper Kupp, so he already had Higbee wouldn't match up, and then he also has Stephon Diggs, so he didn't want Sanders. But that made it tough. What are your thoughts on Hawkinson, Chip?
Man, I'm sorry. I had to jump back in, back out. My Wi-Fi was a little weird there. Could you run me back down what you were saying?
Yeah, no problem. I was trying to get a trade in for Hawkinson because he's had a bad strand of 3 weeks in a row where TJ has not looked as good as he did the first 2 weeks. I think he turns it back around. I think he's still a consistent tight end, somebody where I don't want to play the waiver wires. So if you're playing the stream game, you might be able to package a deal and get him on your team while he's not doing well.
Yeah, he's a guy that I would take over a streaming guy. I'd feel comfortable playing him every week, knowing there's that upside. Obviously, the floor is a little bit lower than what you'd want for a normal starting tight end, but he's definitely a guy that I'd take over streaming, just because you never know really what's going to come of that. I'm not giving up a bigger tight end spot for him. If I've got a top 6, top 7 guy, he probably falls just outside of that. Depending, it's again, everything's situationally dependent, but I don't mind having him on my team as long as I can make up for that in other areas.
Yeah, I think I did Emmanuel Sanders, Allen Robinson, and Higbee for TJ Hawkinson, and I think somebody else. But the reason it didn't go through is because he had Stephon Diggs, the TJ Hawkinson owner, so he didn't want Emmanuel Sanders. He also had Cooper Kupp, so he didn't want Tyler Higbee. So I was matching, it just didn't work. I thought it was a pretty decent trade, but there was no way it's going to make it happen. But if you're like a Higbee owner or, one of those tight ends that are just mediocre, I think Hawkinson's a good one to go for. All right, let's move on to the flex segment. I'm going to kick it off. I'm going to start with my first one because I mentioned his name already. Emmanuel Sanders. Emmanuel Sanders, his targets each week have been kind of going up. They've been hovering around 5, 6, or 7 all year long. But he's connected now 3 weeks in a row. NBA Jam rules, he is on fire. So 3 weeks in a row, he's going. Week 3, he had caught 2 touchdowns, put up 24 points. Week 4, decent week, just 11 points. Week 5, last week against Kansas City, another 2 touchdowns. So he has that upside any week to catch 2 touchdowns. To any of those big plays. You got Stephon Diggs, like you already talked about. Best DB is going to be on Diggs. Sanders is going to find a way, and you got one of the best offense, like we said, if not the best offense in football with the Buffalo Bills. So you want points in that game. This week they're playing against Tennessee. Tennessee does not have the defense they once had a couple years ago. They've been giving up a lot of points. We know Tennessee has a good power offense, so this could be a high-scoring game. And you want that, of course, in flex matchup. You want to be able to your teams to put up points. So I think Emmanuel Sanders, let's stick in the flames, stay in the fire, throw him in there, and let's hope for week number 4.
Yeah, man, no doubt. I love what you said about him having Diggs. I think that what you have is a stark contrast between Buffalo and Arizona. In Arizona, you have, a guy like D-Hop, who's out there, clearly number one guy, but you can't pinpoint the second guy. It rotates between, Christian Kirk, Rondale Moore, AJ Green. And so obviously if you have D-Hop, you're playing D-Hop. When it comes to the second guy, you never know who to start. The beauty of this Bills offense is you have the clear number one, Stephon Diggs, but then you have Emmanuel Sanders, who has pretty much proved himself to be the number two wide receiver right there. So you feel a lot more confident starting him, especially in a flex role. So I love the point that you made there. The guy that I'm going to go with has been pretty consistent this year. I'm going to go Hunter Renfrow. He is rostered in just under 60% of leagues, so just a little bit over half. Guy has he's scored 8 twice. Other than that, he's been putting up great numbers. He's got 10, he's got a 16, he's got a 13. He's gotten between 6 and 9 targets every game. He's gotten 6 targets, 8 twice, 7 once, 9 once. So he's getting the looks. Pretty decent offense too. Like I was saying earlier, talking about good offenses. He's converting a lot. He has 2 touchdowns on the year, so he's getting those looks in the red zone. A guy that if you've got him on your bench, it might take a look at playing him. If you're struggling to find someone to put in your flex, maybe you're suffering from injuries a little bit. The bye weeks are coming up. You're not really sure what to do. Take a look at Hunter Renfrow. Been super consistent. A guy that's going to keep you in games. And I always talk about, we're looking for guys that are going to keep us in it and not take us out. He's a guy that's going to keep you in the game.
Yeah, I mean, he, like you said, his consistency. He's been getting 7, 8, 9 targets every week. He's on the field for a lot of snaps. I think they really like him in Las Vegas. I'm going to hit you with a this or that here. This is a tough one. I didn't mention this one before the show. They're right next to each other on the ESPN projections.
Okay.
Hunter Renfrow or Julio Jones.
You always know,
mind you, Jones is playing against Buffalo, and Buffalo's just been shutting people down. Number one defense against wide receivers. Julio Jones coming back from injury. Jones or Renfrow?
Man, I think that what you're looking at is 2 very different players. You're looking at Jones, who you're looking at for the upside, and you're looking at Renfrow for the consistency. I think that Jones has a lower floor and a higher ceiling, and I think that Renfrow is your consistent guy. If you're looking at your team, if you can look at your team and say, I have enough points here, I'm going to get 115 from the rest of my guys, and you want to have a higher upside play, you're going to play Julio Jones. If you're trying to stay in it, let's say your projection's not that high, you have to start some guys because of injury or bye weeks getting started, I'm going to go Hunter Renfrow. I think any decision you make is situationally dependent. But I think more often than not, people are going to be starting Renfrow over Julio Jones, as much as that pains me to say, having spent my draft pick on him.
No, I couldn't have said that better myself. You're right in the sense of those 2 players and their breakdown, with Julio's ceiling. Renfro's a more consistent, safe pick. Julio's could win you a week. You talked about your team makeup. I want to echo that in a way, but you also got to look at the other team who you're matched up against. Like now we're this far into the fantasy season where you can look at the guy you're going up against. Is this a guy or whoever you're playing against? Is the team you're playing against have a lot of points for? Are they a team that scores a lot every week? Or they're a boom or bust team where they hover around 100 points? If it's somebody that's a high scoring team you're going up against, or they have a lot of good matchups, maybe you need Julio, like you said. So the same way, is my team going to pop off? Is their team going to pop off? I need Julio to do it. Otherwise, you play Renfrow. He puts up 10 points. If the other guy's team pops off, you shake their hand and say, I didn't lose myself this week. They beat me. It's different. So,
no doubt. And that's just part of being a good manager, I think, is looking at that kind of stuff. That's what takes you from the guy who looks at his projections and says, Julio's projected 0.2 more. I have to play Julio because ESPN tells me he will do better.
Yeah, exactly. All right. My last pick for Flexing On Him segment is Leonard Fournette. I I thought Ronald Jones was going to be the guy this year for Tampa Bay, like going into the season, and they've definitely proved me wrong. Leonard Fournette in the past 2 weeks has put up 15.4 and then 19 points last week. He each week has gotten like better. I know what's his name, Bruce Arians for the Bucks. He's very like you mess up, you're in the doghouse kind of coach. You fumble and you're kind of done. So you never know like which running back's going to keep their job there. But the past 2 weeks, I mean, every single week, I'll go back from week 2, 49% of snaps. Week 3, 36% of snaps. Week 4, 82%. And week 5, 65%. So, I mean, like, of course, from the beginning of the year to now, he's increased most weeks in snap percentage. He got 20 carries 2 weeks ago. He got 12 carries last week. Like, he's now, I think, solidified as the number one back in the backfield. They're going against Philly this week, who's just been ran over every single week. Like every running back played against Philadelphia has just had their way with them. So I think it's a big week for Leonard.
Yeah, no doubt. Leonard Fournette, a guy. It's really hard to tell in that Tampa Bay offense who's gonna preseason who's gonna be that number one back, and especially when you're dealing with a running back by committee where there's not a clear guy who's better. It's really tough to tell where to draft guys. But after about week 2, I was looking to pick him up because I think that he's going to solidify himself. To get maybe not 100% of the snap share, he's going to be getting the majority, 2/3 or more, enough to warrant a flex spot. So he's a guy that I definitely like this week. My last one, Kadarius Tony, whatever he is, Tony.
Yep.
I think he has a great week this week. He's benefiting from a lot of circumstance. Last week puts up great numbers, 24 points, almost 25. Week before that, 10 points. Kenny Golladay goes down. That's going to play into it a lot. I think that, if he plays, I know he's questionable right now. Questionable with an ankle. He practiced today. There was limited practice, but I am of the opinion if a guy's limited practice on Wednesday, he's looking to make that start on Sunday. So he is a guy that, based on circumstance, who are they playing this week? They are playing the Rams. So, go ahead.
The Rams aren't the same defense they used to be, though. Like, a year ago, you see that and you're like, okay, maybe never mind. Maybe I don't play them. The Rams have given up a lot of points and they haven't looked as great. So I wouldn't be afraid of it. I like your pick.
Yep.
Especially
a little bit more, maybe if it's a little bit deeper of a league, maybe, your other slots are running dry. I think this is a good option. Pick up and start.
Bye week have it start this week too. So you might have big receivers on a bye. And Sterling Shepard, the other receiver there in New York, is still questionable. Like, he's coming off an injury, so he didn't play last week. He might not play again this week, especially if he's out. Kadarius Toney is a smash play, so a great pick. I agree with you. And Kenny Galladay's out too, so he might be the only out. Saquon's out too. He's the only option. You gotta play him.
Well, let's hope that let's hope that we get a decent showing from Devontae Booker. I heard that some people were outbidding Saquon owners to get Devontae Booker, especially it hurts a lot if you don't have any running backs to start. But we're hoping for a big game from Devontae Booker.
We'll see. I know I got him in another dynasty league, and I didn't win on the bidding. I got outbid also on Devontae. I actually had him at the beginning of the season and I dropped him. So that was dumb as the Saquon owner in a dynasty league. You got to hold on to that handcuff, and I did not.
Man.
All right, let's wrap it up with Thursday night preview. I'm excited for this Thursday night game. Like I said at the beginning of the show, the Bucks might disappoint us in in 2 ways. Either they disappoint us and it's a close game, and we're like, wow, I thought the Bucks were good, and they're playing against the Eagles, what the heck? Or they might disappoint us in the way that we've had close primetime games every week. This might be the first blowout. What you got?
It sounds like you're just setting yourself up for disappointment, because you're going to be upset if they win by a lot. You're going to be upset if it's a close game where they lose. So what? I don't understand. What do you want here, Matt? What do you want?
I guess this is what I want. I want close game through halftime, and not close as in 7-3. I want high scoring first half, and it's close and it's looking like it. And then I want to see I don't actually like the Bucks. I just have them on a lot of rosters. Tom Brady was a value for me this year. Got him in the 12th round. He's number one quarterback so far through 5 weeks, like throwing 5 touchdowns every week. So I find myself rooting for them because he's on my team, but I don't want the Bucks to win. I'd love to see the Eagles beat them.
Isn't that like half the point of fantasy? You know, like you got your hometown team, but like fantasy is what powers you through these Thursday night games where you don't have a dog in the fight and you just need to pick someone to win. And if I'm you and I have, 4 of their players on my team, I'm going to be rooting for Tampa Bay pretty hard. Vegas has them at -7 as a favorite. We got the total set at 52.5. So they're looking for a decent amount of points to be scored. Thinks that the Bucks are going to win. Got to say I agree with them. I'm taking the over. I'm taking Bucks -7. A little teaser there. You can put those together in a teaser. Try to get a little bit on both sides. I think the Tampa Bay comes in and it just rolls. I think that Tom Brady comes into Philly on Thursday, looking to solidify himself. I mean, not solidify himself by any means. He's not out here to prove anything to anybody, but he's in his
definitely
100th season, and he just wants to show everybody that he's still there. Antonio Brown having that big game. It's just going to keep cycling through as to who's catching the touchdowns from him and having that great game.
Yeah, and Brady played in New England, of course, his whole career, and they're in that division with they're not in the division with the Eagles, but he's just played against the Eagles a lot and always has his way with them. One thing about this game that's interesting that I'm looking to see is Dallas Goedert got put on the COVID list yesterday, so odds are he's not playing tomorrow night. So Ertz for me, like those two, Goddard and Ertz, have been so hard to put into your lineup because they literally get 50% of the work. If they were one human being, they'd be a great tight end because they each will get like 5 receptions. One of them will get a touchdown. Sometimes they both get a touchdown, but you never know which one to throw in your lineup. With Goddard gone, I picked up Ertz this week and I put him in over Higbee. I don't like Zach Ertz. I've lost all faith in Zach Ertz, but like I said, if you literally take out all of Goddard's stats and give them to Zach Ertz every week, Ertz is a top 5 tight end. So I'm hoping for that.
No doubt.
We'll see.
A lot of times you gotta bank on the offense. If this is an offense that uses tight ends a lot, but they have a duo of tight ends that they're putting in every week, and one of them goes down, you got to trust that not much is going to change. They're going to continue to use the tight ends in the way that they will, and take advantage of that. Pick a guy up, probably off the waivers, especially if you're streaming tight ends. This is the kind of thing that you salivate at the mouth for. You are ready to jump on opportunity like this because you don't, if you're streaming tight ends, you don't have the best options every week. This is a week where you could have legitimately a top 3 option that you're going to pick up and be able to start. So great place for that.
Yeah, and the other thing about it is like nobody's been able to run on the Bucks. Like literally teams have like not tried. Like they've had like less than 10 rushing attempts against the Bucks because the Bucks front line is so good. So the only way to compete against the Bucks is through the air. So you gotta hope that like I'm scared that Hurts throws an interception or 2, but that doesn't hurt me if I'm playing Ertz at tight end. So it doesn't hurt me.
Oh,
like
Jesus.
That. Like that. So
make it stop, please.
I'm rooting for it, but you got to beat the Bucks through the air. So I think Devontae Smith is a smash play this week, as well as Zach Ertz.
I think to your point as well, you don't run on the Bucks and the Eagles. We were just talking about it earlier. You have Miles Sanders, who's a hot pile of garbage, and you have, you got a rookie in Kenneth Gainwell. You'd have a great running quarterback. I think that they could play a lot of. He could see a great game for himself.
Yeah,
there. But I think the receivers, all of the pass catchers on Thursday night are going to have great games.
Yeah, I agree.
That is my take for the week. Pass catchers will do well on Thursday.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you. I'm taking the Bucks -7. I'm taking the over. I'm hoping the Eagles compete and put up some points, not just for the over line, but just for a fun game. And of course, like I said, I have Zach Ertz. But
no doubt.
All right, that'll do it for this week. Love talking trades with you, Chip. It's always a good time. Really looking forward to this week and watching another Packers win and another just good weekend of football.
Always a pleasure, Matt. Anytime I can sit down and talk some football, it's going to be a great time.
Well, let's get it back for next week. And until then, I'm Matt Russell.
Chip Sparks.
This is Fantasy Fuel. We'll see you next week. Thanks, y'all.